Hello, Thief Gaming here to discuss the meta, or specifically metas. So I've heard a lot of discussion on forums and Reddit and Discord of people being unhappy with the meta. This class won't show up. I want to play X. I want to be in a guild that has Y, and I think this is partially because there is a confusion about metas. There are multiple metas and multiple comps, and which one you select depends on the type of guild you are. And making sure that you select the right kind of comp for your guild, the right kind of meta for your guild, will keep you from having this happening in guild chat. So, what are the three types of guilds? Well, they are the world-class guilds, performance guilds, and friend guilds. To start with, world class are your top two very high tier guilds. Like, we're talking at most 5% of guilds, maybe even less, maybe 2, 3, 1% even. These are the guilds that pull players from across servers, that have the infrastructure to flex players and perform split runs, and they're focused on achieving the absolute top performance as a guild and competing against other guilds on a world level. And I think these guilds will tend towards meta skewed comps. Now, the next guild type of guild, and a much larger segment, is the performance class of guilds. And these are your mid to higher tier guilds. They have competent and performance motivated players, generally drawn from a single server. And they're mostly focused on personal improvement and competent raids. And these will tend towards balanced metacomps. So these are your raids where people want to parse, people want to perform well. They aren't necessarily focused on the raid competing against other raids on other servers, but they want to do well for their class, for their spec, for their role against, the server, against their peers. Next, we have the friend class guild, and these are generally your mid to low tier guilds. And by low tier, I don't mean that these aren't the fun guilds, that these aren't great guilds to be in. This is just simply where on a Warcraft logs parsing meter this guild would fall. And these are generally community and experience focused players drawn once again from a single server. And the focus is on enjoying the content at their own pace. And I think these people will not tend towards any meta composition. So, just some definitions here. A skew comp is focused on, or skewing towards, a single damage type to minimize the amount of debuffs needed. When you need less debuffs, you need less support classes, so you can bring more damage. A balance comp attempts to fit in all of the physical and magical buffs and debuffs. And a non-meta comp brings players over classes, aside from meeting healing and tank requirements. So the pros and cons of each meta comp. Each meta, or non-meta, has positive and negatives. The skew comp maximizes raid performance at the expense of player choice. Maximum performance is only limited to selected classes, aka the Warlock in the Magic skew comp, or the Hunter in a physical skew comp. If you are the support class for the opposite comp, so if you're the Hunter in the Magic comp because you need to tank some fights, or you're the Warlock in the physical comp because you need to tank some fights, you will be super uncompetitive with anyone else of your spec because you don't have the same debuffs. You don't have the same almost world buffs as the other people you will be competing against in your role. Balance comps maximizes individual performance amongst the greatest number of players and classes, but because they have to take more support classes, more support specs, that will lower the overall maximal output of the raid. So this is the comp where the widest variety of players can perform their highest. And then non-meta comps maximizes player choice and enjoyment over performance. Once you have the necessary tanks and healers, everyone can play whatever they want. This is, like I said, maximizes player choice and enjoyment. The problems that you're going to encounter if you're not matching correctly is if you're a world-class guild, then you will have players unhappy that the raid performance is not competitive with other world-class guilds. If skew comps turn out to be much, much better, then people who join to compete on a world level aren't going to be happy that they're unable to. If you are a performance guild, then you'll have players unhappy that they cannot perform optimally with the class that they chose. If you are in a skew or non-meta comp, the hunter that joined because they wanted to, be in a competent guild with competent people, isn't going to be happy if they're the one hunter that in a magic comp and they don't ever get to do anything other than just tank one fight and pull. If you are in a friend guild, then people will be unhappy about having to exclude their friends or having to switch classes or specs in order to, make the numbers bigger in their for other people. And each one of these can lead to, player unhappiness, player burnout, conflict, unmet goals. So it's important to make sure that you're picking the right meta for your guild. So in summary, when looking at which comp to pursue for TBC, honestly ask yourself what is best for the guild you are in, the players in your guild, and what sort of players you want to attract to your guild. Matching the focus of your guild and players with the correct composition will ensure that everyone is getting what they expect out of playing, and I think that happier, engaged players who are getting what they expect are more likely to perform well in that raid. So just some food for thought. If you agree, disagree, want to tell me that I'm completely wrong, then, leave a comment below. I try and get to all of them, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.